I love food, and she knows that. So every time when we communicate, the first thing we talk about is mboga kienyeji. And that's what we love, to eat a lot. Huh? I'm just happy to be here. A lot of work is going on here, and I don't want to get distracted. So, but literally, so I'm here. Personally, for me, I love engagement. Because as a therapist, my role normally is to listen, to nod, and just shake my head. So I expect my audience to talk more. And so today, my expectation, I'm happy to see you. My expectation literally is to sit here, listen, and have you people communicate. So let's really engage with each other and make this session very exciting, okay? And we're going to do this through all the little things that we're going to do, through all the songs and dances that we are going to have. We're going to turn this place into something else. So be ready. If you're not ready to dance, then we'll excuse you for a little while. If you're not ready to talk, we'll also excuse you for a little while because we don't want to bore you. If we're not ready to communicate, again, we'll excuse you for a little while. But anyway, like you've been told, my name is Nelly Otieno. I've added a few other things. At first, I was Miss Nelly Otieno. I became Mrs. Nelly Otieno. Then I became, I'm a marketer by profession, like she said. That's my first course that I did, and I love to market. My CEO used to tell me the only thing that he has not seen me sell is a human being. And I could literally develop and sell, because I'm a marketer, but my passion was literally towards sales. So I would develop and make sure that I sold. And I did that for over 25 years. So don't begin to wonder how old I am. I'll tell you. I think I'm the youngest in this crowd today. Yeah? Oh, you're younger? You're younger than me? Please don't make me old. Yeah, I'm actually the youngest here. All of you are older than me. But more than 30 years ago, that's what I did as a profession, and I literally sold and sold everything. And I love to sell. I love to sell. I can literally help by even selling the water bottles that are before you right now to yourselves. But after that, then I developed much more passion, especially when somebody told me that I'm a helper. And I was wondering, and that again came from my CEO who had been with me for the longest time, and he said, you know what, you are helping, but maybe we want to take you back to school to help and help professionally. And I was like, is it that you don't like what I'm doing? Yet every year I get a CEO's award for sales and marketing. So how come you're telling me to branch into something? But this is what used to happen. I used to go to the office every time, and he would come outside my door and find a group of either women or young people that have challenges, and they found it easy to just come, and I would never sit, I would listen and then walk with them to my CEO's office. And he's like, it's time to make money. And I'd be like, before we make that money, can we make the people that are going to make that money now? And I would be like, it will just take 2 minutes, just listen to me. And I'll go in, this person has a sick child, and they've gone to HR and they're not approving, you know, this salary advance that they're, please just put a little note so that they get this money. The next minute, somebody is sick. The next minute, somebody's door has been locked because they can't afford to pay that rent. So every day, you know, I would go in and we'd be like, do you want to change your profession? Because I don't even think you're doing what you're supposed to do. But then I would ask him, but how come every year again I'm getting these awards if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do? So came the pandemic, or during the HIV and AIDS thing, you know, those are the times when organizations insisted on training counselors. And when he talked about me going to school, and I told him, no, I don't want to be called Mama HIV and AIDS. Because that's what we used to, that's how we used to think. You're trying to be a counselor, and we all thought that what they were doing was just helping people who were actually going through this kind of a thing. And I was like, no, that's not what I want in life. Literally, I'm comfortable. But he said, no, let's just take you, do some small training. And I was like, no, but I've already gone to school. Then he said, okay, take a break. You've worked so hard. I see we're giving you a break for 3 months. Just go and do a certificate course in counseling and then come back. Whether you want to do it or not, it can help you. And I walked into a class. I sat literally, I was going to waste time for 3 months, take a break. But when I got there, I discovered me, the me that I did not know, okay? I discovered how sometimes we can be so rotten in our own hearts and lives and not even knowing. I saw all the worms come out within the first 1 month, the second month, and the third month, and I was like, well, even as much as I was better off, then I think I'm worse off than everybody else. I need to, for me, not for everybody else. So again, I did counseling literally for me the first 3 months. And by the time I was leaving, then I realized I was not even handling I'm a mother of 3. I was not handling my children properly, so I needed to do better. And so the 3 months literally helped me to discover who I was and what I really wanted. And if I thought that I was very passionate about sales, then I realized I was more passionate about discovering me and helping me. And then once that happened, with psychology, and Betty would tell us, once you start, you never want to stop. So after I finished, I went back to work and I said, well, can the organization just pay for me to go and do a diploma course in what I was doing? And my boss looked at me and was like, but I thought we forced you to go there. Anyway, they helped me to go and do the diploma course because already I had a first degree. So like, just a diploma so that I do it better than I'm doing. And I went, and that was the beginning of my life today. Changes that we actually navigate. So currently I work, I finished, I decided to transition, and I left my work at that organization, literally voluntarily before time, and I set up my own practice. Before I did that, I worked under somebody and traveled so that I could be able to do it and do it better. And I came back and I set up my own organization, Restore and Renew Wellness Group, where I serve as a CEO and also as a consultant psychologist, and also the chairman of the board of directors. But with me, I also, I have come along with my 2 colleagues, William and Violet. Those are psychologists, trained properly, young people like you, and where I've come with them is because I wanted to be relevant. Okay, I could have brought Margaret, who is older than somebody else, but I thought, well, I needed to be very relevant in this room today, and therefore I came with them. So Violet and they're going to do most of the talking today, because I would really want, especially the young people in this room, to understand from a young person's point of view how being young literally is a stepping stone to greater things, okay? So when Betty talked to me about this, I would have been here. This is the 6th celebration. I should have been here from the first. But every time, I'm like, literally, something just happened. And even this, something was going to happen. For one, I was not feeling very well, so I was like, and she kept, yeah, are you coming? Will you be there? And so on. And she's a girl after my own heart. And I was like, well, today, whatever happens, I just have to be here. And I'm glad that I'm here. I think I've done enough talking and enough introduction. So allow me to go to what is most important. The rest, I think, if I've left any introduction out, the rest will be able to do. And like I said, this is going to be very engaging because I'm going to ask questions, and I would expect at least us to reason with each other. And no answer is a wrong answer. Every answer is going to be right. no conversation is going to be outlawed. So literally, just with a lot of respect and a lot of love, we are going to communicate, okay? Yes. So when I was looking at this, this is not my, yeah. Yes, sailing through uncertainty. We looked at it, and like I said, personally, I really believe in an open office kind of administration. So everything that I'm doing here is things that we researched together, worked along together, and developed. And I was asking my team, what do you think a young person would like to know or to see, or what are the many challenges that we go through in life, that the challenges that they face, especially when they are sailing through the transitioning from one point to the other. And how can we, I mean, this is just difficult, because for me, the client comes with a problem, and mine is to listen to the client. And today, I want to assume we are all clients of each other. So I was like, what would my clients be looking? I think I'm noisy enough, huh? Even if I put this down, because as a therapist, I use a lot of, I do a lot of my fingers, my eyes. I need this. Okay. I've been told I need it, so I must use it. I'm going to learn to. So literally, when we're looking at it and sailing through uncertainty, we looked at empowering resilience through mental awareness. As I said, I'm a psychologist, so literally I am going to look at everything through mental awareness. We face a lot of life changes. From the time you are born, you get to 3 years, that's a big change. And especially for us as psychologists, that's really what makes who you are today. And then we move on to 7 years or 6, and we again going through another change, isn't it? Begin to go to school. And then after that, we are moving again. And then school now has begun. And in school, there are many stages that we also go through. But as we are going through that in school, also in our own little ways, there are things that are changing, isn't it? Our bodies are changing, how we reason changes, how we interact with each other changes, isn't it? So, how many changes have you gone through, especially right now? Let's assume the last 3 months. What are some of the changes that some of us have been through? Take your time. I'll give you a piece of paper to write them, just like Betty taught us to be able to put them. But some of the changes, and especially for us in this school, in this room here, is we went to school, or we are still going through school, isn't it? Some of us have been to school and have graduated. And we also graduate from at different levels. Maybe you are doing a certificate course, so you graduate and then you move to a diploma course, isn't it? Then again, you could move from that diploma course and you're again going to the university and you want to graduate with your first degree, isn't it? So graduating is one of the many changes that we actually go through. Again, after that, then we start new jobs. We get jobs, isn't it? And we get new jobs. So when we get to a new office, that's another change, isn't it? After that, there are also relationships. Today we were told about our exes. So that means you had an ex, and now you also have somebody else, isn't it? The ex means that ex is a past. It's supposed to be a past, but we still remember some of the good things that they told us. So they're in our past. We have changed from there to something else. Huh? And some of these changes come with a lot of scary or very exciting experiences, isn't it? Like I was looking at everybody's face when they said, what good thing did your ex ever impart on you. And some people, well, they wanted to run away from the ex because the ex is not supposed to exist. But when you remember that good thing that the ex said, what happened? We actually just glowed, isn't it? Yeah, so changes can actually come in very different ways. Looking at how, just how we look at a change. A change can be very positive, also, it can also be very negative. For me, I'll use myself as an example. I've been through a lot of changes, and one of them that I can, or two of them that I like to mention, is at one point I was a young person, then I got my own kids. Now I'm a mother of adults. In fact, I don't say young because my youngest is getting married in a month's time. So yeah, he's just turned 28 years old. So please don't ask my age again. You can calculate, that's the youngest. Then from there, I became a mother and a mother-in-law. Then after that, I became a grandmother. Now I'm a grandmother of 3. Changes, isn't it? And all these changes come with their challenges, their excitements, and also even some scary bit of it. Yeah, so they're there. After that, another thing that I also like to mention is that at one point, I was so used to a structured office work, where I knew I would work within this number of years, and then I would be promoted to this particular one. I report to so-and-so, the next time I know I would be reporting to somebody else at another level. And then being structured, I was also assured of a salary, whether I worked or I didn't work. As long as I was still within that organization at the end of the month, there was a pay, isn't it? But now, I made this move to be able to set up my own. I have to work, they know. I have to work and I have to push. We have to work. I have to market, I have to think, I have to reason and do everything. That's another big change in my life that every day I ask myself, if I was asked to do this, would I have done the same thing? Again, it's a change that came with different emotional capabilities. So changes literally come in so many different ways. And I'm sure each one of us have been through a lot of changes. Our presentation today will help us see how past experiences shape how we handle change. Because it actually depends. Changes will always come in life, whether we like it or not, change will come. And when it comes, the most important thing, how do we handle the changes that we come across, okay? And if we don't handle it properly, it can work for us. If we handle it the other way, we can live in a regrettable life all the rest of the days of our lives, isn't it? So we will also be able to learn simple grounding, reframing, and small daily habits to build resilience and stay calm during uncertainties. Because changes come with uncertainties, isn't it? And so during this time, we are going to be shown how we can be able to ground ourselves. We're going to do some reframing and small daily habits to be able to build resilience, because that's what we really need to be able to handle changes. So sailing through uncertainty will show us how to turn change into a chance to grow and move forward with confidence. And confidence, that's what? Elevates, isn't it? Yeah, because that's actually who you guys are. And by the end of the presentation, we seek to ask and answer a core question. What if uncertainty is not our enemy? Because many times, what do we think? Uncertainty is literally an enemy. It's never positive when we think about it. It will come with things we don't know. It will shock us. It will disrupt our lives, and so on. Huh? So what we need to think about, what if really what we are thinking of uncertainty is not what it is? Because many times we think it's the enemy, but what if it is the wind that can actually move us forward? Again, by the end of our presentation, we should be able to understand that. So the burden of uncertainty is the collision between who we are and who we feel we should be. As we grow, we undergo a range of expectations. Who among us does not have an expectation? Literally, I go back to what she said. What are your expectations within the next 1 year? Who do you want to be? What do you want to become? What would you like to do in life that you've never done? Yeah? I was looking at it and I was like, you know me, lately, my friends and even my patients come and they say they want to go to Bali. And for a long time, it's a country I never even used to think was very important. So recently, one of my clients literally went to Bali and she was telling me the stories and the things that she experienced in Bali. And I was like, this is a newfound destination. I travel a lot. I love to travel. When I left that secular employment, I was like, hey, the first thing that I want to do is to travel to every country I've never been. And God has been gracious. I have done that. But I've never been to Bali. And it's one of the places that I never even imagined. So what I wrote there is that I want to go to Bali within the next 1 year. A 7-day trip just by myself. Enjoy the serenity and all this beauty that they're talking about. She told me she lived in a forest, in the middle of a forest, in a house. And at first, my heart missed a beat. I was like, a young girl like you, how would you go to the place and live in a forest? What if at night the monsters came, you know? But now I'm more excited because that's what I want to do. So as we grow and we go through this, the accomplishment of this expectation dictate the nature of identity we get from societal interaction. There's a lot that the society expects of us. Again, this whole process will be able to help us. Is it what the society expects of us, or is it what I want for myself? Who am I? You know, getting your identity. So we go through a lot, a range of challenges to accomplish the expectations that society has for us. But the challenge that we have is forming, is on forming deep, meaningful connections while maintaining the sense of self. In all these things, as we talk about uncertainty, who we are and who we feel we should be, what will be important today is the expectation that we should have is the challenge of forming deep and meaningful connections while maintaining a sense of self. Another expectation should be the challenge of solidifying personal identity and values while navigating career and life choices. And I guess that's what's really is very common with us today. And also the challenge to seek purpose and contribute beyond self. So, those are some of the things that we are going to be able to get at the end of this. And just before we proceed, when you came, and especially on my topic, what is your expectation at the end of the day today? Again, can you please write that one down? That by the time we are done with this mental awareness chat that we are having, what would be your expectation? Just write 3 of them. And as I do that, I'm going to ask William to just get ready. So, molding of identities, some of the expectations. If identity feels stable, uncertainty will feel like an opportunity to grow. And if it's fragile, it feels like a threat to self-worth. Okay? So, some of the beliefs about control and self-efficacy shape whether we see uncertainty as manageable or not, and beliefs about others, availability and safety affect our willingness to seek support in uncertainty. I'm going to invite William to come here, like I said, so that we can feel from a young man's experience what it would be like to tell us. I'm telling you from a 60-year-old. Now we are transitioning. to like a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old. Because I'm told here we have, who is it? The youngest is 20? 19. Oh, we have a 17-year-old. She's 18. Yeah, just graduating, yeah? So we have that age gap, and that's why, like I said, I'm going to have William and Violet to be here, so that at least we can also have, how do your past experiences with 10 shape how you feel during transitions today? So William, you're welcome. And thank you very much. I'll be back here because there are a few assignments that I've left around already, and there are a few answers that I'm going to sit there to just understand, to wait so that we can be able to juggle together. So karibu-san.
Thank you for this opportunity. Allow me to dig deep into the whole idea of identity and expectation and how it's molded in the first place. As the good doctor said, if identity feels stable, uncertainty feels like an opportunity to grow. Now, as we grow up, as we were kids, as we were mischievous and so on, we had a conditioning of identity that came from our caregivers. You were taught differently on how to approach certain issues, yeah? And that builds your sense of confidence whenever it comes to the idea of uncertainty. And idea of a stable identity is basically built from confidence, from understanding the self. Self-awareness is key number one. If you're not self-aware, the possibilities of confidence are very low. And that would mean when uncertainty hits, we panic. Now, beliefs about control, especially with self-control, shape whether we see uncertainty as manageable or not. Basically, a complementary statement of what I had mentioned before. With the conditioning that is there, the belief about your capability grows. And if there's a belief of your capability, basically self-awareness, stability kicks in regards to your identity. And you will progress with the whole aspect of uncertainty, not from panic, but from a sense of understanding. Now, another thing comes with social interactions that are there. Beliefs about others' availability and safety affect our willingness to seek support in uncertainty. If we feel way below ourselves, or if we feel we're not worth certain assistances, then we will draw back from seeking help whenever there's uncertainty. And interesting thing, we will go to frameworks that sometimes can tend to be punitive and very problematic. And they will tend to keep us on a cyclic movement. You stick in one place because you feel there's a sense of fear in seeking assistance when there's uncertainty. And if there's a sense of fear, there's impulsive reaction on looking for a solution for this uncertainty. And a majority of these impulsive reactions, if we don't feel we have a stable identity, are mostly built on negative frameworks. Now, when we look at that, there's the question of how does our past experiences with change shape how we feel during transition today? Because now we are reflecting from past experiences. And we get to understand that to some degree our past experiences apply with the framework we use in the present at this moment. Now, who would want to chip in whenever it comes to answering this question? No answer is wrong, no answer is right. You just go all out from your personal experience. Anyone? All right. Go ahead.
Okay, question. How do your past experiences with change shape how you feel during transitions today? So actually had an experience, I think it's recently, transitioning to university, and I was actually very scared since it's a new environment and you have to live alone considering the age and stuff. So the change in environment was a bit scary at first, but I feel that that transition shaped me because as at now I am able to stand out because the fear part made me to be bold. So bold enough when I am alone in a space, I am able to take consideration of my emotions because when I transitioned to living alone, I am able to stand out, to budget and stuff, to able to make your own decisions considering how you feel internally. So the change has shaped how I view experiences and decision-making spaces.
Yeah, that hit the soul directly. Perfect.
We talk about experiences, and at times those experiences are what we missed. For example, I was raised by my mom and my sister alone, and in the last 3 months, I was a dad. I became a dad, and now I was like, this experience that I missed, how will I raise this daughter of mine? And I'm like, I've missed a lot of things. I've missed a father figure. Thanks, Mom, for being my father. I've missed a father figure, but now this is exactly what I need to do. Who do I learn from? What do I do? Who do I turn to? And I realized that it's not about what you're supposed to do. It's not about what you know. It's actually about what you are supposed to do right. What you're supposed to avoid, what you're supposed to think about, what you think is best. And of course, at times you're supposed to listen to other people's advice. But in the end, you know exactly what you want your person to be. What is it that you wanted to be? And now you know exactly how will I mold that person in this new human being I'm trying to raise.
Thank you. That's very deep, especially reflecting on what was not there and coming to terms with what you have now. How can you utilize what you have now from what you didn't have? It's simply a reflection that whatever you experienced is never written in stone. And that's why we reflect on past experiences, not for dictating a whole identity, but to be aware of where to start. That is perfect. Now, when life changes, like moving, graduating, or starting a new job, relationships happens, we feel uncertain. The uncertainty wakes up old patterns in our minds, like fear, and the whole idea of neglect or being left behind. If past changes felt unsafe, we may feel anxious or scared or stuck about our situations in the now. But if past changes felt safe, we may feel excited, confident, and curious. Now, our emotions during change often show how we learn to handle change before. However, it's not written in stone. It can be implemented in the present. We are simply reflecting to understand. I want us to keep that in mind. Now, our minds, as much as they tend to use old beliefs whenever there's impulsive situations, we tend to utilize those old beliefs because we tend to predict an idea of a new situation, even if those beliefs are unhelpful. So we are basically seeing a scenario where you try to grab on straws because the situation is predictory wise. There's no right or wrong answer, so you need to find something that is quickly fitting. But as I said before, nothing is ever written in stone in such a situation. Now, I had talked about frameworks before, and an example of the frameworks that might come in whenever we try to get to understand the situation of uncertainty is people leave me when things change, that's the abandonment, messing up, the failure, the mistrust when you go to a different place. Oh, I should be very, 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 very super careful because people might take advantage of me. There's the awareness, but there's also the approach of rigid approach on where you close off because you feel when you open up, you might be taken advantage of, but that's never always the reality. It's just our impulsive or instinctual need to protect ourselves, to be more self-preservative in regards to situations that we are uncertain of. We are trying to predict any possible outcome at that moment. The defectiveness framework, I can't, there's something wrong with me, I can't handle things on my own, and I must always perform perfectly. That is mostly on the unrelenting standards. Now, if you notice all these patterns, they are simply, yes, they are frameworks, but they do not simply dictate what is there. They are open to challenges. They are open to you challenging them. So whenever there's the idea of you messing up, is there any proof that you will inevitably mess up? And so on. Now, we need to ask ourselves a question, and
I have a question.
go ahead.
The question is, when we are dealing with expectations, so if, for example, when somebody is reflecting, maybe let's say, I had an incident at my previous job place, and then now I'm in a new place. So I've had maybe something that's almost similar to what I had, and back then the response was negative. How can I now respond in a more positive way? Because let's say if you are, let's use him, Seme. If you are born by if you are raised up by a single mom or a single father, and then now you have a child, and when you were raised back then, you had a lot of luck, like I lacked, and now you are having a family, and because of that fear of luck, you're not having a family, maybe you're having a girlfriend. So you are because of that aspect of luck, it's influencing your decision to wait. So it's always pushing you towards the aspect of not taking that next step because of what you went through. What framework can I use or can this person use to move forward in a more positive and encouraging way?
All right, that's a very brilliant question, and it's brought us to actually the next approach of the slide. Now, as a psychologist, I tend to believe that certain aspects of instincts are conditioned. Think about this. First thing you see is a snake, and probably from what you've watched, from what you've understood, snakes bite. So your first reaction of seeing a snake is, this thing will bite me unprovoked. So you will run out fast. Or you will hit it with something, because it's conditioned. Now, the reason why I use that example is because all that is learned can be unlearned as well. Experiences structure our whole idea of habit and perception. Some can be traumatic and freeze us on where we are. We don't move, we just fixate on that idea. Like, I don't want to go on from here. Last time this happened, things went haywire. And that's when we recall the frameworks, how they kick in, and how they play a role. Now, there are a few steps we can take in regards to changing the mindset that is there, and also in regards to slowly fitting in to the new situation. Remember, as much as all that is learned can be unlearned, it needs patience and it needs steps to be taken. Imagine if you have learned something for 15 years. Do you really expect to unlearn it in 2 days? It would make sense. You need to be very mindful with yourself, because at the end of the day, you're flesh and bone, you're human. The best thing you can do is embrace your mortality and not look at it as a disadvantage. Embrace it from the fact that now you know what steps need to be taken for you. What next? Now, there are certain steps whenever it comes to conditioning, the idea of resilience, that I want us to look at, because they're very important. And they answer the good sir's question. Now, the first one is breathing techniques. Now, people tend to look at breathing techniques from a perspective of a final solution to everything. I'm probably undergoing stress at home, breathing techniques will work. But that's simply a temporary technique to help your nerves calm down during stressful situations, so you can apply the idea of reframing thoughts exercises, training your mind to see challenges as opportunities and growth, and reducing that catastrophic thinking that might come through the framework that has already been there. Now, the last one will be micro habit building. One bit at a time. I'd like my friends most of the time, baby steps. As I said earlier, you can't expect to change something you've learned for 15 years in a duration of 2 or 1 days. It will feel really frustrating to go through the process, because you're looking at the destination and you really want to get there. But that destination has prerequisites. It has steps to take. Are you willing to be brave enough to face yourself and to challenge yourself to be patient with the process? Are you keen enough not to look at the destination alone, but the process of that destination? Now, with breathing exercises, there is the whole idea of grounding, making you actually focus away from overwhelming thoughts. You activate the feel, the taste, and the sight senses. And it gives you that mindful feeling, being at the moment, here and now. You feel your feet on the floor, you breathe through your body, or hold an object that will remind you of safety from the overwhelming thoughts. Now, grounding helps stop spiraling thoughts and brings calm and control at that moment. I'll introduce my colleague to take us through the breathing steps. Now, with this, remember, they are meant to stabilize you for that moment until you work on the reframing thoughts type of exercise that will now start looking into the situation that is there. All right.
So the next technique is usually a 3-6 breathing. So for this, you will put one hand on your chest and the other hand on your abdomen. Okay? On your lower abdomen and one hand on your chest. Alright? So we will do this breathing, being intentional by lifting our lower belly, not our chest. Okay? When you're breathing in, you're lifting your lower belly. When you're breathing out, you're inserting it from the inside. Alright? So always make sure you're in a relaxed position. Okay? Right, thank you. So let's try one more time. This time you breathe in for like 3 seconds. We're lifting your lower abdomen. Then you breathe out slowly through the mouth. Okay? So we are breathing out through the mouth, but in through the nose. Understood? Yes. Okay. So let's try 3 seconds in, and then slowly with the mouth for 6 seconds. Okay? Let's try it. For 3 seconds, breathe in, lift your belly, lift your, nice. Exhale with the mouth. Nice. Again, 3 seconds. In, exhale with your mouth. Nice, nice. Thank you. So that is our breathing technique, and William will come back to continue. How do you feel? Why are some of you looking sad now? Why are you looking sad now? You're good? Yeah. Yes, that is usually calming and very relaxing, okay? So I will welcome my colleague to continue the presentation, and I'll be taking the flyers round, okay? Thank you.
Okay. Now, we've taken the breathing exercises. On to the next step. Thought reframe. Now, there's a question that was asked in regards to how we address past issues. I think about a majority of these past experiences, they tend to show themselves from a sense of irrational thought, because probably they were unprocessed, no one talked about them. Probably we perceived them as values or morals, but at the same time, those values or morals per se have a tendency of crashing us to bits. I'm sure we are aware of, especially from the masculine perspective, the idea of don't cry, men don't cry, look tough. Now, as much as it's viewed as something quite great or an unwritten law, it has a tendency to really crack us down from actually finding a sense of healing. Now, with the thought reframe, you start by identifying and then describing the change that you are going through at that moment or at that time. Write down the big change you're facing and then what it means for you at that time. Remember, one step at a time, baby steps. You reflect from the perspective of the now. The now will be the prerequisite of the tomorrow and the years to come. Notice your thoughts and feelings. List the thoughts, if you can, and emotions that come up when you think about the change. So here's where you're identifying the thoughts that are there. You're naming them. Identify if there are any worries or opportunities. What worries you about the current change that you're going through? What opportunities or positives could come from that current change? So you're being in the moment, you're being mindful, you're looking at what can I work with at the moment. Now, you, after identifying the worries and opportunities, you go to my favorite part. You challenge the thought. Choose one worry that might be there about the change and think about it from the perspective, is there another way to look at that challenge? If there's no other way, then that would simply be saying that our perception or what influences us is completely written in stone. But the reality is everything can be challenged in regards to understanding what we are going through, in regards to identifying what we are going through. Support your refrain or your refrained thought. List one small action you can take to reduce the possible worry that you're going through and support that new perspective that you have. It still goes back to the one step at a time process. In order for change or in order for reframe to actually happen, you need to acknowledge the small steps that need to be taken for that change to take place. Because yes, the idea of change is general, it's beautiful, it's nice, it's exciting. But are you looking at the process of it? Not that saying that the process is frustrating and boring and so on, but are you willing to acknowledge and take yourself one step at a time with the process in mind? Anchor in your present supports, not any strengths, resources, or people you have now that will help you manage this change. Look at it from the perspective of a ship. A ship has crewmates. In order for each and everyone to work in coordination in that ship, communication to all those crewmates needs to happen. In your day-to-day life, in order for you to find a better understanding of the strengths and your current perspectives, interpersonal relationships need to be there. No man is an island. And if we're able to acknowledge that, if we're able to consider that, then perspectives won't be more on black and white approach, but it will be focused on a wide range, a diverse range, a safe range, a certain range. Not saying that safety is necessary for us to take the next step. Sometimes there's the idea of unsafety, especially when looking at taking risks for your own progress, for positivity. Nothing can ever be assured on safety, but we take that first step to proceed on the possibilities of what we can grow with or grow for. Now, I'm still going back to the easy does it, one step at a time approach. Micro habits. So easy, small actions can be done even on a tough day. let's say you've had a really hard day and you're not able to go to the gym. That means as much as you're not able to go to the gym, you can do the small workout. It doesn't have to stop. You just acknowledge your capability at that moment. You work with what you have at that moment, and you appreciate that. Because chances are you might have not even bothered, but you took that first step. Change takes one step at a time. Write one line from the individuals who undergo writer's block. Start. Just begin with the small bits and pieces you have and take the process slowly as it goes. Big changes feel very overwhelming, and macro habits feel so easy that your brain doesn't resist starting. The reason why big changes can tend to be overwhelming is because we are biting more than we can chew. And sometimes it can be coming from a perspective of uncertainty, which brings forth panic. Sometimes it can be coming from a view of excitement. But either way, biting more than we can chew won't help us. Acknowledging those tiny steps builds a habit. This habit, the fact that it is learned, is done consistently. Small steps at a time until we gain a sense of consistency with it. It's never all about starting quick or starting huge. It always starts with that tiny thing that you perceive as tiny. In reality, it's actually a huge thing. So, how much do you underestimate in regards to your capability to a certain situation? One question you need to introspect about. Each repetition in your day-to-day procedure tells your brain that you're a person who can take care of yourself over time. And that has a tendency of motivating you and gives you a sense of confidence in whatever you do. And with that confidence, it builds on that identity. And with that identity comes a sense of certainty during even the uncertain of times. The resilience is bolstered at that point because you're not afraid to take the step. You do take the step, but from a learning perspective. It's a challenge from that perspective. However, if you're not comfortable with that aspect of identity, taking certain steps will look like a punishment rather than growth. That's where we overgeneralize on things, catastrophize things, talk about how your whole day was ruined because you stepped on a puddle of mud. Yeah. So, I think with reflecting certain ideas of uncertainty and combining it with the idea of resilience, we get to understand the only way to look into the perspective of uncertainty is by self-awareness, acknowledging your capability, acknowledging your mortality as a human being, and appreciating that. If you don't appreciate that, if you're not willing to acknowledge yourself as an individual, your capability, your weaknesses, then progression will be a tough spot to predict. I think I'll welcome the good doctor to finalize it.
Called policy in motion. Basically, I share my experiences across the world and I connect them to how Africa can adapt some policies. And I did about 3 editions, I do it weekly. And I got to a point where I just ran out of ideas. And I couldn't write anymore. And I thought, should I stop? And the newsletter had gotten to a point where it reached about 3,000 subscribers who read it weekly. Then yesterday I made some friends, most of my high school friends, and we had a conversation, and one of them posted the photo on WhatsApp, and his friend replied to him and said, is that Peter Nguka? I've been really wanting to meet him. He does very good newsletters on LinkedIn. And I was like, what? So people actually see whatever I'm doing. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and start writing again. So it's no longer an uncertainty.
He had his uncertainty, and he didn't allow himself to wear that label. So today he's actually going to walk out of here knowing exactly the direction to take, isn't it? Anybody with a different one? Yes. Madam President. I need to say that on the mic. Madam President.
Okay, so my uncertainty, first of all, began when I talked to Mike Elgin, and he's really actually very ill, so please pray for him. And then we also have our other guest who's sick. And then I had to work until 2 in the morning. So I was really just praying, God, how am I going to manage this? Because I was working, the teams were there, and I was just like, how? But you know what? We're talking about thriving through change, managing your emotions, being self-aware, and actually doing what we need to do. But I'm here, and I'm active, and I'm surprised. I didn't even take coffee.
Wow, let's give her a round of applause. I'm telling you, we had a lot of uncertainties. Even for us, let's honor. As we were coming, they were asking me, what time did you sleep? Because they could see I was communicating up to 2 a.m. So I was telling them I slept at 3 a.m. And that's very common with us, anytime when we have something. Because I think this was the 3rd presentation that we were working on. We did the first one, and then we were looking at the outline and the program, and we were like, do you think this is it? So we literally worked on 3 different presentations, and the final one, literally to bring it to book, I was up until 2 a.m. and yeah, I kept throwing it at them, and I hope they're not asleep. So you were not alone. We helped you stay awake. Yeah, so we literally lived through a lot, even those who have not said the uncertainty. If you look at it, for us to be here, from the time when we started, I was telling you at one point, today I would have been statistic of those who are also unwell. I even didn't have a voice some past few days, and I was like, if this day comes and I don't have a voice. So I said, let's just all prepare and be ready to do this. There's no excuse anymore. So we literally go through a lot of that in life. But again, in our uncertainties, what did we learn to be? Is it a threat to us? Or what could it be? Or it is the wind that blows us to where we ought to be? The uncertainties that we go through in life. How would you be able to talk about yours? What title would you give it? Your uncertainty. Yes, ma'am. She says, opportunity for growth. Thank you. Well done. Yeah, literally. You can make your uncertainty an opportunity for growth, isn't it? Another thing, from the experiences that we have been shared today, how would you?
A training ground for resilience. A training ground.
A training ground for resilience. Can you imagine? Your uncertainty can actually be your training ground for resilience. Somebody else with a different outlook? Yes?
A chance to revisualize.
A chance to revisualize. All this literally makes uncertainty to be very positive, isn't it? Is it a negative anything? Nothing close to being negative, isn't it? It comes in as a negative opportunity or a negative way to look at things, but you can actually be able to retwist it. And this calls for what? for us to be able to capture it and make it positive, to call for what? What do we have to do? At one point I was a teacher. Yes, Violet.
I feel like we should adapt to changes and easily can conform to whenever we are facing problems. We are not running away from them, but we become problem solvers.
Exactly. Then now at my place of work, when you walk into my desk to tell me something, I know we have so many challenges. You wake up in the morning and this client wants that and this client, this cannot work and so on. But I always tell them, I do not want problems. I want solutions. So as you come with your problem, make sure you also have what? A solution to it. It's not going to come from me. It needs to come from you for it to be able to work. So even in your uncertainties, look for the solutions that can actually push it to a positive reaction. So. And if we do that, I am telling you, there is no mountain that you cannot climb.
Yes.
The skies will just be the lowest limit, okay? That means you can literally go beyond. So every time you have a challenge, you have an uncertainty, you are faced with that barrier that you are thinking you cannot be able to think quickly, because there is always a way out. Whether you like it or not, there is always a way out. It could be the easiest or the toughest. It could be the smallest or the biggest. But I'm telling you, if I was a Christian, I would tell you that God would never give you too much that you cannot be able to handle. So same thing. Anytime when you are faced with uncertainties, can you make sure that you actually have a solution to it also? Make it so positive that it works for you, okay? So, another thing. Do you still wear the label that you wore when you came here? When you walked in here in the morning, with your challenges, with the expectations, are you still wearing the same label? Or something has changed? Something has changed, eh? Thank you very much. I'm happy to hear that something has changed, and I'm looking forward to hearing more things changing, because now we know. Is there anything too hard for you to? There is nothing, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, even if Madam President brought a solution, if you look at it, it's something that you have actually thought about, or it's something that you can actually be able to handle, isn't it? It's just that we never push ourselves to want to think. So let's push ourselves and make sure that we can be able to. So how can you find some balance, right-footed approach to some of the expectations that you have, and then you can be able to get help. And us at Restore and Renew, we are literally willing. These are some of the things that we do. Maybe they are not directly related to you, but we are mental health specialists. We do, and we also offer psychosocial support programs, for example, child therapy, occupational therapy, addiction counseling. We do grief and bereavement counseling, online counseling, and all those. And then we also have all those added services that we do. We are quite a number of us, so don't think when you come, 3 of you, then we are exhausted. We have other counselors that today are not here because work has to continue. Karibuni sana. Currently we are based at Luton Hospital, the Doctor's Plaza. We are on the 3rd floor, Wing B, so karibu sana. And thank you all very much for listening. Thank you.